Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us and welcome to the second FinCity.Tokyo Global Networking event for 2021. My name is Lance Trong and I'll be your facilitator for this event. And at this second webinar, we'll be focusing on Insurtech. So we'll have a presentation by a major Japanese insurance company, followed by a series of pitches by pre-selected foreign fintech companies to an audience of Japanese financial institutions. Then we'll have a brief introduction to upcoming programs from FinCity.Tokyo, followed by, as I mentioned earlier, a Q&A as well as a networking session. So without further ado, please let me hand over now to Mr. Lawson Lancaster. Mr. Lancaster is the Assistant Manager, Digital Innovation Department at Tokio Marine and Nichido Fire Insurance, and he'll be giving our keynote speech for today. So let me hand it over to you, Mr. Lancaster.
Thank you, Lance. I'll just share my slides. Can everyone see my slides? Is that okay? Thank you. So just as Lance mentioned, I'm Lawson Lancaster from Tokio Marine, and I'm in the Digital Innovation Department today. I have 10 minutes to talk to you about what we are doing with startups and digital innovation. I understand that 10 minutes is very short, so I'll try and keep this talk as short and sweet as possible. So just to briefly go over today's agenda, there's 4 main points that I want to talk to you about. So firstly, just to give you a background of who we are with Tokio Marine Nichido, and also what I do. And then secondly, I want to go into our worldwide digital strategy platform. So i.e., this is how we work with startups and also digital innovation related projects across the world. Thirdly, I'd like to show you some examples of things we've actually done with startups, focusing mainly on non-Japanese startups. So we do work with obviously both non-Japanese and Japanese startups, but today just to focus on the things we've done with non-Japanese startups. And then finally, I've written here future expectations, but more so the things we aim to achieve by us working together with startups, just to give you an idea of what we're aiming for and what things we'd like to be able to do, and just to make it clear our agenda. So I'm going to head into that right now. So this is just a brief background of who I am. So I've been working in Tokio Marine since 2016. So I've been here 6 years now. I've been through a few departments. I first started out in 2016, as you can see here, in a very domestic department. I was in charge of major chemical industry sales. So I was in charge of soap manufacturers, shampoo manufacturers. It was very, very old school. And then 2018, I moved to a different department called the Telecommunications and Broadcast and Sales Departments, where I started working with fintech and non-Japanese startups. So kind of similar to what we're talking about here today. That team I was in at the time is a very small team of 3 people. This actually expanded and became our digital innovation department. And I work now also with GAFA, which is a bit not related to startups, but from this year onwards, I've gone back into the startup scene. As you can see here in 2021, I'm in charge of non-Japanese startups, healthcare, especially digital healthcare startups, and also MaaS. These are my 3 main areas, but it doesn't mean that's the only areas that I do work in. I work in other areas too. Now, to give you some background about Tokio Marine, we like to think of ourselves as the leading insurance company in Japan. And we have a very big top line of 2.2 trillion yen. And we have many employees. We have 17,000 in Japan alone, 40,000 worldwide. And we also have 46, almost 47,000 agencies across the whole of Japan. So we are in every area of Japan. One thing I'd like to make a big point about here is, as you can see in the bottom right here, we as Tokio Marine try to go out to make many firsts. So that's one thing we try to differentiate ourselves with other insurers, is that we make the new first. So first auto insurance in 1914, first liability insurance 1959. And also, if you go with more recent things, 10 years ago, we made the first one-day auto insurance in Japan. And also a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, we also made the first voice-activated one-day auto insurance in Japan as well. So we try to stand out by going ahead and doing things differently and making firsts. So just to go a bit into about our worldwide digital strategy platform. So this is basically how we work worldwide regarding startups and digital innovation. So as you can see in the bottom half of the slide here, we have 7 what we like to call labs, i.e. basically offices, which are situated in London, Silicon Valley, New York, Sao Paulo from this year, Taipei, Singapore, and also Tokyo. So Tokyo is actually, I'm part of the Tokyo lab. And what we do here is we work with startups and we also do digital related development. And what we do is we get this information and we pass it on along all these 7 labs. So even if, for example, if there was a startup in London and wanted to join Japan and enter Japan, London would give me that information. We'd work with the startup, etc. And as you can see, there's some examples on the top left, but I'll go into them in a minute. Just skip the slide because I know we don't have a lot of time. So in the startup team in the Tokyo lab, which I'm part of, just to give you a brief idea of the 3 targets we have when we are talking with startup companies. So what we do is we go through, we look through news, we take part in pitch events. We also get lots of introductions from current clients, and we talk with startups as much as we can. And the three main things we're looking for are these 3 here. So number 1 is enablers. So as I've written here, basically we work with startups to include their tech to improve our value chain, i.e. startups have lots of tech, which we don't have at the moment. And even if we did try and make it, it would take way too long. So it's easier for us to work with startups and utilize their tech, i.e. utilizing AI to improve our claims process. And another one here is future platformers. I've put PF, but it means platformers. So for example, find the next GAFA equivalents at an early stage. And the reason this is for because many startups who start early in Japan, they go on to become very big platformers, and then start to sell their own insurance and become an insurance market. So for example, a good example is Line. So I'm not sure how many people know of Line, but it's a Japanese SNS app. It's a messaging app. And 10 years ago, it wasn't that big. It just joined the market. And a few years ago, it actually got so big now that it's selling its own insurance. So these are the things that we see with the next versions of GAFA, as we like to call them, next platformers. So be friendly with them at an early stage, and we can become their insurer in the future. And the final one, our final target, is probably the most easy to understand, is new business. So working with a startup and a current client that we have. So a startup, Tokyo Marine, and a current client, three of us here in the triangle, and making new business. And the whole idea about making this new business is by making new business with a startup, the startup gets to expand their business. Our corporate client gets to do something new, which is good for them. And when you make new business, there will always be new risks. And then that's where our insurance gets involved. So we have our win there. So everyone is happy, everyone gets their win, and everyone gets to expand what they're doing. So just to go into some of examples of things that we've done in recent years, I know that I only have 4 minutes left, so I'll keep this as brief as possible. So one partnership which we're very proud of is Metro Mile. So we've created a partnership with Metro Mile, which is an American Insurtech, over the last few years. And we are actually the first insurer to utilize their AI claims platform to improve our claims process. So this is what I just mentioned about using AI and new tech to improve our claims process, make it faster. And we actually did a press release around 6 months ago, the image on the left here, about how we're expanding our partnership by now using their detect software to combat insurance fraud. So this is just one very, very classic example of how we work with startups. We utilize their tech, they get to expand their business, we get to make our value chain better. So this is a prime example of the type of things we do. Another example is Simple Assurance, which is a German Insurtech. Actually, this is a client that I was in charge of a few years ago. Simple Assurance wanted to enter the Japanese market a few years ago, which we assisted them in doing it. And they are very, very famous Insurtech throughout the whole of Europe, well known for their insurance integration capabilities, especially with online sales sites. We worked with them, we brought them, helped them enter the Japanese market, set them up here. We also worked together, and this is actually something I can tell you about because we've done a public press release about it, but we worked together with Simple Assurance and ANA to make a new type of cancel insurance. With the current COVID situations, obviously not the biggest topic that we can talk about right now, but for domestic travel, we made a new type of digital cancel insurance, which is a very, very big thing. So this is another example, helping insurtech companies from abroad come to Japan and then using their assets here to make new programs and schemes. So the final example, which is actually a more recent example to go on about, we have been working together with ISI, which is a startup based in Finland, and they have technology which can be utilized with natural disasters. And so they have some satellites up in the skies which can look at global flood monitoring. And we actually did a news release a few months ago how we've been utilizing their tech. There was actually, unfortunately, a few months ago in Atami, which is just outside of Tokyo, there was very big floods and landslides. And we use their tech. And this is actually the image right here to see which areas and which homes are most likely to have the worst impact. So we can go to those first and then work out what we need to do and how much we need to pay out and get it done as quickly. If we didn't use this tech, we would have been going on foot there ourselves with people, including, for example, myself, who works in sales. I'd be dispatched out there to go check it one by one, which is obviously a very long process, and it takes long for us to then get money to the customers, which we want to as soon as possible. So this is another great example of how we've been working together with startups to improve our value chain. So final final point, future expectations. So as I was mentioned just now, there are three main targets we have, which is future platformers, using the tech from enablers, and then also going on to make new business with our startups. But also the two things that we want to look at in the future from here onwards is improving our value chain and also digital connections. So as I just said, utilizing startups tech to provide stuff which we can't provide right now, or would take a very, very long time for us to do so. So that's the easiest way to do it. So we definitely want to, if we can utilize startups programs, their services and tech, we definitely want to look into doing that. And another one is digital connections. And to explain more about digital connections, it's something that's going on in Japan over the last few years. Insurance is becoming much more digitalized. Apps are a very more important thing than they were 10 years ago. And we do understand now that the whole idea of the digital native generation, they may be very young right now, but in 20 to 30 years time, the current digital native generation are actually going to be the presidents of big companies, and they're going to be the presidents of also SME businesses as well. So we want to make sure that we can somehow connect with this digital generation and early stage, so we can actually provide our products to this new area, which we're finding actual difficulty in approaching. So that is the end of my presentation. I know it was 10 minutes, it's very short, and I do apologize for speaking very fast, but thank you so much for listening.
Great. Thank you so much, Lawson, for that very interesting overview of the kind of work that Tokio Marine is doing in the Insurtech space. We'll now move to the Q&A session for Lawson. Again, a reminder, please type your questions at the chat box and send it to question box rather than the secretariat or facilitator. Lawson, let me move to the first question. How do you find the potential partner fintech companies, especially foreign fintech companies? In other words, I wonder how the foreign fintech companies can increase exposure to Japanese financial institutions.
Yeah, this is a great question, something which we actually find quite a bit difficult in, because a lot of the fintech companies which aren't in Japan, I mean, they're not here, right? So it's hard for us to find them. It's actually been something that we've been helped with the whole COVID situation, with everything going online. It's been easier for us to join in events overseas to actually get to know these people. And also another thing that we do is we have good links with all our offices around the world. So if our offices come across an interesting startup, they will let us know, and then we'll go out and try and be in contact with them. And another thing we do is, as I just mentioned, we have 7 of these labs across the world. So they are in each of their areas, they're going out on the lookout for startups, which include fintech and insurtech. And we're always in contact. So if there is, for example, a prominent startup which is rising in the UK, then someone will get in contact with me, let me know. Or I personally myself, I try to keep a look on the fintech news worldwide. And if there's a company which I find interesting, I will get in contact with the fintech team on my side of things in that country, and also directly contact the companies ourselves. But I think one thing is to improve exposure is to definitely get involved in events in Japan, even if you're not in the country, just doing it online. I'm thinking of the time difference, because now it's very possible with everything being online, all these events due to the COVID situation.
Thank you, Lawson. Our second question is, are there any, do you have any good points or suggestions in terms of establishing an office in Japan rather than doing, or are there any advantages to establishing an office in Japan rather than doing everything from overseas?
I would definitely suggest working together with, for example, like an insurance company or a other financial institution to help it go smoothly and set up your new office in Japan, because there is a lot of bureaucratic things and hurdles that you have to jump through, and you have to have some certain people back you to make it easy. I would also think that in the current stage of things with the whole COVID situation, it's not necessarily, it used to be back in the day, you'd have to be in Japan to be able to go to the events and get the connections that you need. I personally don't think that's the situation anymore. And a lot of it can be now done offline. I say offline, online, via overseas and in between Japan, before you then make the move of stepping into the Japanese market. So I would recommend making connections online first and having a financial institution to somehow back you. That'd make it easiest.
Thanks, Lawson. And our third question, are you interested in the rental deposit space?
Okay, rental deposit space. So is that things like a rental deposit space, like WeWork deposit space?
Perhaps the questioner could type in a bit more information regarding what their question is referring to. And why don't we have that person, sorry, turn off their microphone and ask verbally? That might be quicker. I think it's, sorry, Camilo was the person who had the question from Deposit Pass. Camilo, if you wouldn't mind turning, unmuting your microphone and asking the question verbally.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Camilo from Madrid, Spain. My question is very simple. When you rent a property, be it in Japan or any other jurisdiction around the world, normally the landlord requests from you a rental deposit, right? This could be 2 to 3 months, and we know that Japan is one of the largest tenant markets in the world. So I just want to know, Lawson, if you have any interest or if you have looked already into the rental deposit space. Sorry for my confusing question.
No worries. It's not confusing at all. It's not something that we've actually looked into yet. But if there is something where we could work together there to mix digital and insurance and this, then it would be something I think would be interested in. So potentially we can talk about this separately. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for that, Camilo, and thank you again, Lawson. Next question. Do you feel that there's a gap between overseas startups and traditional Japanese enterprises?
This is a really interesting question. I think there definitely is a gap when it comes to terms of speed, like the process, especially working in traditional Japanese companies. There are many hurdles to jump through to get things done quickly. I found as well when I've been working with startups, they work at such a speed and things go around so quickly within the company. I mean, this is also to do with size as well. So there's one thing of trying to work together with a startup in a good way, which works at both of your paces. So that is something which I do find a gap, is definitely the speed. Like startups tend to work much faster than many Japanese firms do. But once you can get that down, then it all goes smoothly.
Great, thank you for that, Lawson. We have a couple of remaining questions. Let's keep going with those questions. So what is the most pressing problem you think tech can solve for you?
So I'd say there's two, and most of them are actually related to paying out insurance money. So I think one is the speed of doing it. Up until now, things have been very, very paper-based. So finding new apps and new tech where we can actually kind of, we can get people when they make a claim to have it all authorized and put through the system as quick as possible to make sure we can get the money to our customers. That's one thing which I think tech can actually really help us out with. And another thing is also finding where the issues are and finding actually how much damage has been caused. So just like I was saying with the ISI thing, where we use satellites and the AI tech there to work out just how much damage there is, just using things like AI, where we can then now take a photo of a car and you can tell us in seconds, okay, so this is £300, that's how much the payout's going to be, rather than getting someone out there to look at it and write it down on paper. So these type of things which improve the process, because for us as an insurer, we obviously want to make our customers feel at ease and know that if they have an accident, if they do the right steps and then apply to make a claim, then they will get their money as soon as possible to make their life get back to the way it was beforehand. So these are the two things which I definitely think tech have a real big play in.
Thanks, Lawson. And our final question, and something I'm very interested to hear your response about. What do you look for when startups pitch new product ideas?
I've been to many pitch events, so I've heard many pitches, but I definitely find that the best pitches are the ones that make it really easy to visualize how you work together. There are some pitches where people just kind of, it's sometimes vague and it's hard to kind of work out how you'd work together, even though I find as well with the startups that I've worked with up until now, sometimes we've worked together in ways which I wouldn't think of on the first go, but it's been explained in such a way that it just makes sense at the point there. So I think it's definitely the whole idea of just making it very clear and easy to understand and image on the first go, because pitches are so short. But I do understand it's very difficult to do that, and I'm not amazing at it myself either. So.
Thank you for that, Lawson. That was very interesting. We're going to move now to our pitching session. So it's a very well-timed question and answer there. We'll have pitches from 7 companies, Curate, Blocksure, Coherent, Greater Than, NASDAQ, Protosure, and Sureify Labs. And so we'll have those pitches in that order. So without further ado, let's first move to Curate. Thank you.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon, everybody. This is Samuel Falmine from Accurate. Let me quickly share my screen. I think it should be all right on your side. So I'm going to introduce myself first. So I'm Samuel, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Accurate. And what is Accurate? So we are a startup established in France, in Paris, but with offices in London, New York City, and offices opening in Asia in beginning of 2022. And we are specialized on one very specific use case, which is insurance pricing. And basically allowing to build models to support pricing in insurance. We are targeting pretty much all lines of businesses within P&C, on personal lines and commercial lines, commercial specialty, and also on health. So everything but life, I would say. We were established 3 years ago and now have more than 30 clients globally. Some of them are very large corporations like AXA Group or Generali, Munich Re, but we work also with commercial insurers like Keynote or Tokio Marine Kiln. We work with new players like Wacom or Yuzu in Europe, so Insurtech. So our solution scales pretty much on all types of insurance companies. We have more than 30 active clients using our solution. And so our expertise as a company is really machine learning applied to the use case of insurance pricing. So why does insurance pricing matters? Even in Japan, which is a heavily constrained country with official tariffs to be applied, we see some drastic changes in the industry. So there is still a very strong regulatory pressure and a strong need for transparency. Even if there is even in a tariff market, there can be some deviations, but they must be reasonable, adequate, and not discriminatory. But at the same time, we see that the customer behaviors are changing. They are willing for more agility, more fairness, more flexibility. We see also that the COVID had a significant impact on the risk drivers, on the loss ratio. So all of this kind of puts pressure on the overall pricing process. And in a context of change like this, having this capability to build advanced pricing models is now an imperative for insurance companies. And even in highly regulated markets, where there is an official tariff that is broadly applied within the country, there is still room to improve the tariff. There is room to optimize the deviation of the standard rate to improve the loss ratio. It's also possible to better anticipate the future losses, to optimize the portfolio by targeting the most profitable customer segments. On commercial lines, to allow to convert data into actionable underwriting insight and to feed the underwriter with better data. It also helps to build a more profitable direct businesses for the companies that do have direct business. And in Japan, most of them are loss-making and kind of financed by the indirect businesses. But we know that the new generation is expecting those new channels that are going to grow. So it's important to build a very healthy direct business. And so Accurate will allow to build through an automated and guided approach to rapidly build highly predictive risk models that will support all those activities that are extremely meaningful even in a highly tariffed market. And what makes us different is that we managed to bring machine learning and AI onto this use case, allowing to automate significant part of the process, which allows also less experienced users or companies that are just starting in building models to quickly onboard on the platform. But what we bring is transparent AI. So we are going to build models that are fully transparent and that are compliant with the regulation. So our solution, I cannot go into detail, but it's composed of different modules that allows to build risk models, demand models, and then there is a module that is called rate making and portfolio insight that allows to do all the loss ratio analysis, leakage analysis, and so on. We already have a client in Japan, AXA Direct Japan, and we have multiple pilots that are planned with Japanese players who would be really keen to engage with any Japanese companies that would be interested. So 5 minutes is a very short timing, and I think it's no over. But please don't hesitate to reach out to me for any question. Thanks.
Great, thank you for that, Samuel. We'll move on now to Ranveer Sagu from Blocksure. And thank you all again for keeping to the 5-minute limit. I know it's short, so thank you.
Thank you to FinCity and Tokyo Marine for the opportunity to present. So what I'll present today is Blocksure OS, which is a full cycle insurance platform based on blockchain technology. We put the policyholder right at the middle of everything, and it's got mobile delivery at its core. And we sort of said, what is it the policyholder needs? And then what are the processes and capabilities that are needed across an agency and insurance value chain? All activities by each party can be completed on the chain. And what we really talk about is digitalizing the insurance value chain for every party. So we've got installations across 4 countries. In the US, we've got commercial property. In the UK, we've got content and gig economy. And in Indonesia, we've got a platform for microinsurance for students and seaweed farmers. And that really demonstrates how low we can drive the cost of processing across a value chain. We're actually delivering with our partners policies of between $5 and $10, and the total processing cost of that value chain is 50 cents. In Japan, we have got SASD and property content in UAT, and we're working with a local partner there to deliver that. We build the technology, and they are responsible for all the sales and the delivery activities. But other use cases we have are hourly car insurance. We've got gig economy, where we sort of turn insurance on or off for gig economy workers. We're looking at IoT with automated claims payments as well. We've got the platforms already converted into Bahasa and for Indonesia, and we've also got it in Japanese as well. One of the key things about our business is that we have people who have worked in the insurance industry for many years. So we understand the issues that we're dealing with and how to deal with those and what are the solutions we're trying to put in place. And then we've brought in technology experts from external places, so that especially banking and payments, so that we can sort of see how it's in other industries and we can then apply that to what we do. So some of the key components for Blocksure OS, the first thing is we have a policyholder front end, which is mobile orientated. And what this allows them to do is complete most of their processing online, and it's in real time as well. So they can make policy amendments, they can buy new policies, they can view their policy documentation, but also they can report claims. And we've built in picture capabilities, so a claimant can actually go around, take pictures at point of claim and send those in, and it completes a claims report so that the claimant knows exactly what they've claimed for, but also the agency and the insurer will receive that in real time. We've got Product Builder, which is a no-code based product builder, and it allows insurers and agencies to launch products in weeks and at a much lower cost than is currently possible. And the covers that it offers is for minutes to multi-years, and we've also got the flexibility to put a menu-based approach, so that all that policyholder can have is the kind of cover that they really want and tailor to their needs. Sure Exchange, well, that's our integration services, so that we can integrate with existing components, legacy systems, but also finance systems and KYC. And SureLink is our blockchain platform that allows the connectivity to happen in real time. Here's a Japanese SASD product, and this is something that we're doing with our local partner, which is a company called Greenreach. And what we've got on the left-hand side is a policy view. So these are screens that a policyholder would see, and that will allow them to do all their processing. And on the right-hand side, you've got an insurance and agency view, so that they get these screens out the box and they can actually start working with their front end very, very quickly. We worked on the SASD product in our local partner, which is Greenreach, And these are the problems. The customer service is poor because the actual response from insurers is slow, or their agencies is very slow. Trying to find out exactly where claims are is difficult. The cost of the value chain is quite high because there's lots of manual processing, and the data held across parties is inconsistent. And the actual completion of tasks across the value chain can take months because there's a complicated value chain in there. So what we've done is we've taken that and we said, how can we help it? So we've got from quote and bind completion across the insurance value chain, whereas before it used to take 90 days, and then in the agency office it would take 120 days. We can now do that in real time, both across the SASD website and the agency office processes. And what this leads to is a 90% cost reduction, and a focus that the insurer partners and their agencies can look at more growth activities because they build different products. One of the questions we always get asked is about how much will this cost? And we say it's not as expensive as people think, but also to deploy new products is much, much quicker than it has been before. And that's, thank you to everybody for listening. And apologies for the time taken to start.
No problem. Thank you, Ranveer. We'll now move on to Ms. Sakura Kawakami from Coherent, who will be making her presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, let me share my screen first. Can everybody see this, I hope? Okay.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Great. はい、こんにちは。コヘレントの川上と申します。コヘレントは、ノーコードオープン API をベースとしたプラットフォームをご提供するアジアを拠点に置いたインシュアテックの企業になります。私たちは商品の開発から販売、契約の管理、そして顧客とのエンゲージメントに至るまでのさまざまな業務をご支援するトータルソリューションをご用意し、保険会社のデジタルトランスフォーメーションをお手伝いしています。次のスライドからそれぞれの製品のご紹介をさせていただきます。まず、コーヒレントのフラッグシップ製品であるスパークです。スパークは、複雑な計算、ビジネスルールを Excel からノーコードで API サービスに変換をする今までのプロダクトエンジンの概念を進化させた他社にはない製品になります。ノーコードで API サービスを変換するには Excel で商品仕様を定義して Excel を保存し、スパークにアップロードをするだけです。数秒で API サービスがクラウド上に作成されます。この API サービスを使用することで、レガシーシステムをはじめほか、様々なシステムとの接続が可能になります。スパークは1秒あたり数百の API リクエストを処理することができるため、システム間のデータのやり取りをリアルタイムに行うことができます。このスパークを利用し、商品の計算、ルールエンジンを外部化、そして一元化することで商品開発期間をぐっと短縮できる上、商品の改定、定量に関しては Excel の商品仕様に変更を加えて、スパークにまたアップロードするだけで自動的に API が更新をされるため、開発の必要はほとんどありません。Excel なので誰でも簡単に使用ができて、導入後も外部のサポートに頼ることなく自社で開発を進めていくことが大きなメリットになっております。次にご紹介をするのはコーヒーレントのソニックの製品になります。ソニックは運用コストを抑えながらビジネスに柔軟に対応できるようにデザインがされた未来型の契約管理システムです。マイクロサービスとスマートコントラクトをベースとしております。契約管理に必要な保険証券の発行や保険料の収納、契約の変更、保険金の請求、更新、満期管理、そして再保険といったように、機能、こちらをすべて実装しておりまして、保険契約管理に関わる業務すべてを自動化いたします。ソニック、こちらの究極の目標は契約のライフサイクル全体の 100% の自動化で、マニュアル対応は例外処理のみとすることです。そのため、プロセスの自動化を実行する他社システムとの統合もサポートしておりまして、ソニックトランザクションはすべて RESTful API として公開がされ、社内外のシステムから安全にアクセスするということができます。ソニックのすべてのトランザクションはビジネスルールに基づいて外部サービスを呼び出すトリガーの設定が可能で、これらの機能を活用することにより、よりデータドリブンなビジネスへのシフトを促進いたします。これは顧客とのエンゲージメントを高めるためにも効果的な仕組みとなっています。 このスパークと、ソニックをパッケージとした、プラットフォームは、ここ最近日本でとても、活気づいている少額短期保険の企業様にも、最近は多く、ご関心をお寄せいただいているソリューションになります。その他、新しい時代に沿ったデジタルリードジェネレーションカスタマーエンゲージメントのツールであるコーヒレントのコネクト。また対面販売ができないエージェントをご支援する保険申込書のプロセスをすべてオンライン化したツールであるコーヒレントのフロー。そして保険の申し込みを検討されている顧客への商品提案をサポートする Web のアプリケーションのコーヒレントエクスプレイナーといった様々な保険業務をご支援するソリューションをご用意しております。またコーヒレントの製品はすべて日本へのローカライズ対応済みとなっております。コーヒレントは日本のマーケットにはまだ参入したばかりでございますが、弊社の製品サービスはすでに世界中の多くの大手企業様にご利用をいただいております。従業員は現在世界中合わせて220名を超えて、生命、損害保険といった元保険会社の出身者が多く、また30名以上のアクチュアリーが在籍をしております。専門性の高い知識と経験を必要とする保険ビジネスを理解し、保険会社のニーズに沿ったソリューションをご提供しているのが弊社の強みだというふうに考えております。私たちは日本法人です。今年の春に設立いたしまして、従業員をすでに4名採用しております。これから日本のマーケットを開拓していきたいというふうに思っております。コーヒレットのソリューションにご興味のある企業様はぜひご連絡をお願いいたします。ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Thank you, Ms. Kawakami. ありがとうございました。So next up, we have Johan Forsik from Greater Than. Thank you, Johan.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Let's see. So thank you very much for having me here today, and thank you to the rest as well for listening in. So my name is Johan Forsik, and I work at the Swedish Insurtech company called Greater Than. I sit here in Singapore and manage all our business and our project in the Southeast Asia / APAC area. We actually recently also opened up an office in Tokyo, which is something I'm very proud of. And what we do at Greater Than and what the core is that we provide, everything stems from our AI, which predicts risk per driver and per vehicle in real time and predicts the accident probability of that driver. We can do this over the whole world, unbiased and individualized. And with this, we can provide a 12 to 24 month time advantage on risk compared to traditional underwriting. So we see that our AI really revolutionizes insurance pricing, loss control, and also customer management. And this is mainly by predicting accidents and its cost. We see that our AI is a key component for better insurance and also for new mobility. And I think a good proof of that is the great partners that we work with in Europe and US. For example, we have Zurich. Here in Asia, I work mainly with MSIG. We actually recently published our new collaboration and partnership with Keynote in Japan as well. So as I said, the core of what we do is to predict loss cost per driver. And this is also in real time. We've been doing this for many years. We've been doing it across 108 countries. We have 7 patents also protecting this technology. And we say more or less 4.5 billion risk analyses per day. And this figure is just increasing as we go. There we go. So just quickly looking at the problem now, and that we see that our insurance companies and the mobility companies we work with is that the current risk model is no longer valid. You have a very gray view of looking at your policyholders or your fleet, if it's for that. And it's a pooled view on it and very reactive to loss cost. You have a bunch of accidents and then you increase the prices. And with this, it's very slow to understand risk as well. So what our AI brings, the solution is that we can say a much more colorful picture of your insurance customers or the fleet or if it's your mobility company, because we can do this individualized and unbiased. So we can tell you exactly who of these customers will be part of the 5%, which stands for 30% of your claims cost, for example. Who of your driver will have no claims or accidents? So who should we maybe reward to keep them as an insurance company, and who should we increase the price for? And on top of this, we actually do this prediction of loss cost and accident. It's on a per trip basis. We can actually say on a per second basis when this driver is out driving. So then you can take completely new decisions on your customers to better manage it, and also to improve your KPIs and your profitability, and also in the end to reduce accidents as well. And this is very, very fast to pick up changes in risk. So just end to end how it works very quickly, whether if it's taxis or regular private cars or trucks or vans. We get the data from there. We need GPS data mainly. We can do it in many different ways, whether it's an app that we provide to the customer, or if it's an infotainment system or telematics device in the car. That data is pushed up to our cloud. Our AI then does the analysis. We provide the accident probability per driver, associated cost per policy, also climate impact, and much, much more data on top of that. So this is then pushed down from the cloud into what we call our risk portfolio tracker. It's a fleet tool or a web tool, you can call it. This is where the insurance company or mobility company can actually see the outcome of the AI and to get this completely new view of your drivers and of your business as well. And then to the end user, if you want to automatically reward or incentivize users, we have a multitude of different white label, ready to go, ready to launch solutions, whether it's for new mobilities or for car sharing, or if it's an insurance, a pay-as-you-go, for example. And yes, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, Johan. Next, we have James Saul from NASDAQ. Take it away, James.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Excellent. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to present NASDAQ's Risk Modeling for Catastrophes platform at this excellent FinCity.Tokyo Insurtech event. I'm James Saul, and I'm responsible for business development. NASDAQ Risk Modeling for Catastrophes, or NRMC, is a catastrophe modeling platform that provides the easiest and most cost-effective way to access multiple models from different developers, for example, to gain a second or subsequent view of risk, fill gaps in your modeling portfolio, or access climate condition models. We do this by leveraging open data standards, providing access through a single, easy-to-use SaaS platform, and having flexible pricing, allowing for various different use cases. So what business problem does NASDAQ Risk Modeling for Catastrophes solve? The challenge we identified is that a lot of the complexity faced by insurance companies, reinsurance companies, and brokers trying to access models from different modeling companies. However, we're also seeing new use cases, for example, from banks looking for climate risk analytics on physical risks, and to address regulatory requests around the world, including in Japan. Historically, accessing models from multiple developers has required multiple platforms with multiple associated user interfaces, financial models, and data formats to learn. Additionally, they would each require their own typically local installation project onto expensive performance servers only used for CAT modeling, and changing the version or even adding a model could require another significant IT project. Finally, agreements were typically fixed for multiple years, requiring consistent usage across models or risking paying for models not being used, preventing the evaluation or adoption of new models. We addressed these challenges by only needing one platform to access multiple models with one user interface or set of APIs, one financial model, and one industry standard data format. Additionally, as NRMC is delivered as a SaaS platform, there's no IT project. Access to our web portal can be set up within days, and ongoing maintenance is automatically included along with upgrades to the platform and access to new models. Finally, users are free to evaluate or use any of the models on the platform in their own environment and can access each of the models as different use cases require. We also simplify the contracting process by removing the necessity to contract with each individual modeler. Any CAT model built into the OASIS loss modeling framework can be hosted on our platform, and that includes both commercially available models as well as the in-house developed models. We currently have 12 model vendors on the platform, with models covering over 300 country perils, including for Japan, earthquake and flood. In addition, we have recently added 5 climate condition models and are also expected to release several more over the next few months, along with another 100 country perils. The current list of modeler logos is shown across the bottom of the screen, and if you're interested in further details of specific country perils or models, then please ask me in the networking session later or visit our website. So why NASDAQ? Many people have heard of NASDAQ as a US stock exchange, but NASDAQ has 4 strong business segments, and under the current CEO pivoted to become a global fintech company 4 years ago. We've had an office in Tokyo since 2008 and currently have 14 local colleagues supporting all of our various mission-critical technology offerings to over 100 customers, including exchanges, buy-side and sell-side financial institutions. For example, we're providing trading, clearing and risk management systems to Osaka Exchange, the global leading derivatives market under JPX. We were originally founded in 2016 as Simplitium and launched our first product iteration, Modex, the following year. In 2019, we joined NASDAQ as part of a larger acquisition and now sit within the new markets division of market technology. Following the acquisition, NASDAQ's developers re-engineered the platform to be a purely SaaS product, and we relaunched as NASDAQ Risk Modeling for Catastrophes last year. So in summary, NASDAQ Risk Modeling for Catastrophes is the simplest and most economical way to gain additional modeling capabilities for your organization. Through its flexible approach to pricing, easy access to deployment, intuitive user interface, and contracting simplicity. Finally, NASDAQ is independent of both the insurance and modeling communities and agnostic over which models used on our platform, allowing us to focus on delivering a highly performant, secure, and robust platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, James. Next, we have Urija Kaplan from Protosure. Apologies if I've pronounced it incorrectly. Thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for inviting us here. So I'm here. I'm the CEO of Protosure, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about our no-code platform for developing insurance products. So Protosure allows insurance companies to build and distribute insurance products at extremely low cost in days without writing a single line of code. What we're trying to do is what Shopify did for the e-commerce sector: allow participants in the marketplace to not focus so much on IT costs and expenses and custom development, but focus more on the actual designs of what they want to build and allow the platform to do the work for them. There are multiple trends going on in the insurance market now that I'm sure you're all familiar with. One major prong of how the insurance market is developing is that insurance products are becoming much more data-driven. Instead of it just being a flat application form with a very standardized way of utilizing that information, data becomes enriched as the application as that application goes through, and it gets remixed with third-party data and proprietary first-party data. Insurance applications are much more consumer focused now. Instead of assuming people will be sitting there with a broker and filling out long reams of paperwork, consumers expect a friction-free process in order to fulfill the application Also, consumers are expecting insurance to be available everywhere, not just in one location, but the insurance should come to them instead of them coming to the insurance. And lastly, insurance products themselves have to change. Insurance products have to focus more on speed to market and speed to value, and be able to offer differentiated product designs that are business-led and tech-enabled for the market. So with all these trends in insurance product development, the counterpart of that is that causes the insurance product IT product development process to take longer and be more expensive than ever. And for a typical insurance company to build this type of experience requires several quarters, if not longer, to develop, and requires a significant amount of custom development by a large team of IT staff. With Protosure, we could take those same trends in the marketplace and allow you to create a fully digital experience from scratch in days or weeks using our platform. So all the necessity for a fully digital experience is available within the Protosure platform. The Protosure platform not only has these capabilities, but allows you to take what you have already in the insurance company, which is the product design elements like Excel spreadsheets and Microsoft Word documents, application information that might be coming from upselling from other product designs or from CRMs that you might have access to, and third-party proprietary data that you have access to, as well as internal actuarial algorithms that allow you to have differentiated product designs. That gets developed within our platform, and then the output allows you to take that product, distribute it in multiple channels, make the application process streamlined in multiple ways to put it in front of consumers. And then lastly, after the insurance product is sold, it gives you very easy access to backend reporting and data analysis. So what differentiates Protosure? Besides the fact that we could actually build the insurance products on our platform without any programming, we're not just a smart form builder or a pricing algorithm maker, but we're a fully cohesive environment that allows you to create an insurance product very quickly. So it's more than a smart form app. It's a smart form app. It allows you to create the underwriting rules, and it's a fully integrated product development environment that also has API access within every component in the environment. So you could start off by using Excel spreadsheets, connect through APIs, import legacy code, build it once, and then distribute it everywhere. We could also scale from the very simplest types of insurance products that might be, for example, embedded microinsurance, to the most complex commercial insurance products, for example, insurance designs for apartment buildings. And lastly, we've spent a significant effort in localizing Protosure for the Japanese market. So we have a completely localized user interface in our product development toolkit that allows us to print out in a fully compliant methodologies for the Japanese market. All the components within the application form allow us to fully utilize Japanese addresses and phone number validation. We even allow you to, the programmers, if they want to use APIs it automatically converts the Japanese characters into Romaji. And then we also have a capability that you could do product illustrations, not only do product illustrations, but do it in a fully Japanese manner. So you could create beautiful designs that are consumer and friendly and product first. And so with all that combination, Protosure allows you to create these very complex insurance products, do it in a visual and streamlined way, and then bring it to market very quickly. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to your questions later.
Thank you for that, Rija. Next up, we have Greg Yoder from Sureify Labs. Thanks, Greg. Greg, you're on mute, sorry.
Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can.
Good deal. 1 second. First of all, greetings from Silicon Valley in California. It's 1 in the morning here, so I'm just a little tired tonight. So in any event, my name is Greg Yoder. I'm head of business development at Sureify. And our mission and timeline is in front of you here. We actually were formed back in 2012. We started building our own insurance company, and we began working with Munich Reinsurance Company, who guided us and said, the insurance companies around the world need your software, need your approach. And so we've developed over the last 9 years. We have now 215 people on our team around the globe. Our eyes are on Japan and on Europe at this time, and we are scaling up. Give me 1 second, please. Just if you're familiar with the North American market, these are some of our customers. And in addition to the ones you can see here that we're allowed to share, we have the top 2 North American carriers, and we've worked with 2 top Japan carriers to date. What do we do? The Lifetime platform, it's an end-to-end digital transformation software for life and annuity carriers or the life and annuity divisions of insurance companies. Lifetime Acquire is our e-app solution. I'm not going to spend much time on it today, but basically we just help insurance companies deliver a positive and effective e-application onboarding solution. Lifetime Service is basically allowing consumers who basically rarely interacted with insurance companies other than on a web portal to do it right over their phone, making policy servicing much easier and the customer much happier. And the last thing we do, which is our secret sauce, is lifetime engage. We help insurance companies engage with their customers in a way that they have never done before because they always relied on agents to do it. So that's what I'm going to focus on in the few minutes I have today. Lifetime engage in action. Basically, you get the insurance company's app on the phone of the consumer where they live, and then you engage with the consumer. You not only provide them the ability to service their policies, but participate in physical challenges or take polls and quizzes. We integrate with all of the social networks. They can take financial challenges, read articles, and basically we help the insurance companies develop an Uber, or Amazon, Netflix type of experience with the consumer. And that allows the insurance companies to gather a great amount of data that they can analyze, provide, create new content, and have campaigns that engage with the consumer. Just if you think of your mobile phone, where we all live most every day, it allows the insurance companies to basically respond to policyholders' life events in real time. If they get married and it's found out on social media or through a poll or quiz, you don't say, do you want to buy some insurance? You basically tell them what new people that got married do, the type of activities they might need to take advantage of. So you put this relevant content in front of policyholders and consistent messaging and brand, and it basically provides the opportunities for insight and sales that I've referenced earlier. Engaging with the consumer is extremely valuable. It improves persistency, improves your cross-sell and upsell opportunities, net promoter score, and strengthens the agent relationship with the consumer. So this is what we deliver or have delivered with, again, some of the biggest insurance companies in North America. 50% improvement in persistency. 5 times more likely to buy another product from the insurance company. And one of the ones that we're most proud of, where with a customer that misses a premium payment, where historically the insurance company only preserved 16% of those, now they're preserving 64%, or a 300% increase improvement in lapse payments. And that's extremely valuable to the insurance company, to the consumer, and your reinsurance partners. So we don't do this all on our own. Now, we do have our software, it's a platform, but we have partnerships, what I call within the Insurtech ecosystem around the globe. You might recognize some of these names. And basically, when an insurance company wants to deliver engaging products, when they want to deliver engaging content and give people the Uber, Amazon experience, we partner with these organizations and basically deliver that to consumers. And that's all I have for you today. It's late here, but thank you. And I look forward to chatting to anyone that would like to have a conversation post. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Greg. And thank you also to all of our Insurtech companies for their very interesting and informative pitches. Before our Q&A networking session, allow us to provide an update regarding FinCity.Tokyo's upcoming events and other programs for this year. In terms of events, there are 2 more seminars for this year. The 3rd event will be held October 27, 4 p.m. Japanese Standard Time. And this is targeted at foreign fintech companies who will be able to pitch to Japanese financial institutions. So these are the fintech companies outside of Insurtech. Our 4th event will be held in November. Exact date TBC. This will be targeted at asset management companies, foreign asset management companies who again can pitch to Japanese asset owners. Registration for these events will be held through Eventbrite and PTX. Nominations for the pitch events for our 3rd event, the details have already been announced, and nomination details for the 4th event will be released in due course. In terms of FinCity.Tokyo's monthly newsletter publishing schedule, this slide outlines the schedule for the remaining year. And you can also access the monthly newsletters via the QR code at the upper right-hand corner of this slide. This slide just outlines publications from 2020 that FinCity.Tokyo has released. And again, they can also be viewed at the FinCity.Tokyo website. Here we have more information regarding FinCity.Tokyo's website, as well as their SNS accounts, as well as links to information about prior events. Here are contact details for today's speakers. These will be shared with participants once you have filled in the survey for today's event. In terms of the survey, this will automatically pop up when you exit our webinar today. We kindly ask you for a few minutes of your time after the webinar, as your answers will help us improve future events. And as mentioned, those who complete the survey will receive a link to download material from today's event. So now we'd like to move to the Q&A session for our Insurtech companies. Mr. Lancaster, let's move to you first with your questions for our pitching companies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your presentation, everyone. They're all very, very interesting. And I actually have many questions I would like to ask, but I do understand we are restricted on time, so I'll just limit it to a few. One I wanted to ask was for Blocksure. I know that you were explaining that in 4 or 5 areas around the world, you're focusing on many different types of insurance. And I was just wondering, what areas are you focusing on in Japan? And especially if you're working on anything regarding the giga economy, because I think that's a really interesting topic at the moment. I'd like to know what you're doing, if you are doing anything in Japan regarding that.
So thank you, Lawson, for the question. In Japan, we've just got our entry strategies agreed. We're working with a partner there who does our distribution and talks to our insurance partners. We started with the SASD market because that's one where we and they see that there's a lot of inefficiency. But the platform can be tailored for any kind of product, really. But for us, it's around schemes and gig economy. So where people work part-time or where delivery drivers, those kinds of customers, so that what we can do is we want to do an embedded solution so that we can actually work with the distribution companies and actually embed the insurance product into the back. So when, let's say, a gig economy driver or a gig economy worker clocks on for work, the insurance clicks on and then it switches off. And we're using that technology, and we're talking to brokerages and or agencies and insurance companies in the UK. So we're starting with that there, and we do want to bring that over. But the platform's ready to do that because the way it's built and the connection between the agency and insurers allows that to happen very, very easily for us. So we don't have anything at the moment, but it's something that if you want to have the discussion with us, I'm really willing to have that afterwards, and it's something that we're really keen to sort of look at.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Okay.
Thank you. And just another question as well. I know we're short for time, but just to talk to Sureify, to talk to Greg. I'd just like to, if maybe this might be actually better for another time rather than explaining it here, but I would like to know more about the whole customer experience. The solution sounds really interesting, and also just all the types of data that you can actually retrieve using your solution, because I think that's something that we don't take as much data from our customers as I think we potentially could. So it's something which I would have a big interest in.
Well, I heard your question. I'm not quite sure if you want an answer right now or another time. But I think it's fair to say that insurance carriers get more data on their customer within 1 month of providing their Sureify platform to the customers than they get in a whole lifetime presently. They rely on, actually they have no data on their customers because there's a relationship with the insurance agent, not so much the customers. And we help the insurance companies develop a digital relationship, and through various data sources, including polls and quizzes and literally asking the consumer for information, you have more data and with actionable insights. And what you end up doing is you end up giving the customer what they want and when they want it, because you have that data. But it's a much longer answer. But we have In the US, our insurance company customers have 200 million customers out of the 340 million, and they're getting insights now that they've never had before.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for that, Lawson. Given time constraints, what we would like to do now is move straight to our networking session, where people will have an opportunity to ask their questions directly as well. So you'll be able to find the enter breakout room icon within Zoom. If you're using a PC, it's located at the right bottom of your screen. And if you're using mobile, the icon is located on the left top. You can now turn off your microphone and camera when communicating. You'll find 4 rooms, each are hosted by today's speakers, and the details of those rooms are on the screen. You can also move to another room by clicking the same button. If you're having any trouble or you need help, please contact the Secretariat by chat, and please feel free to leave the networking session whenever it's convenient for you. And also we again ask for your time at the end to fill in the survey.